Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and this is coming to you from my home here in Cave Junction, Oregon. The subject for tonight is titled "The Days Are Numbered" for Josephine County, Oregon government. It arises from a comment made by a disinformation agent, provocateur, operating on the internet, to a post that I had inserted regarding my interview on television regarding the sovereign movement. It begins by my comments during the course of the interview by KTVL television reporter Katie Connor regarding the sovereign movement. Sheriff Gil Gilbertson said, "I've seen movements like this probably gonna collect momentum, and that's a scary thought." What is Gilbertson afraid of? Sovereign people, the creator of government, holding their public officials accountable for their unlawful actions? That is the sum and substance of my 9-year battle with a corrupt and criminal government who killed my wife through the stress they put on her. The disinformation agent, who goes by the anonymous name of TC, stated, "Sovereign people have no public officials since they don't recognize the elected government as having any jurisdiction over them unless they hand them that welfare check they cash." Ray? My response to that was, spoken like a disinformation agent, bought and paid for by government media. It is foolish concepts such as this which you promote that is at the bottom of the mass enslavement of the unaware American people. The sovereign people who have retained their God-given intelligence are the true government. They delegate limited authority to their elected, appointed, and bureaucratic servants to carry out the programs desired by them, the sovereign people. Along the line, millions of these people have lost their God-given intelligence and have been tricked by their public servants through satanic conditioning into believing they are subjects to the fictional corporate structure which calls itself government. By such implied consent, millions have been enslaved themselves into being wards of the state, infants in the eyes of the law, children who no longer are operating at full legal capacity, and who require a nanny state to represent them, care for them, and solve their problems. You are one such ignoramus who speaks for the rest of the slaves in our country, who have had just about everything stripped away from them but their lives, at least not yet. That is why you cannot respond to any of my messages, but can only take cheap shots. Look at the history of my internet input over the last 9 years, and you will see that what I say is true. By the way, if you are going by what you see on screen of the interview by Katie Connor of KTVL TV, you clearly can do and say anything you damn well please with such 2 to 3 minutes of on-screen brevity. However, the actual interview conducted was approximately an hour and a half. I fully understand that the media operates on sound bites in order to accommodate the short attention span of prideful, conditioned subjects. But there again, if people had not freely given up their sovereignty to accept subjugation to the corporation, our country would not be in the dire circumstances in which it presently finds itself. Gilbertson ought to be scared. He is now operating unlawfully, and has been since his re-election as sheriff of Josephine County, Oregon. He has thumbed his nose at the Constitution, and he has violated his own oath of office. He also is holding the bag for the rest of the Josephine County Courthouse public officials, who are offering him up as sacrifice, as they did with Judge Neufeld, Judge Kuhn, District Attorney Johnson, and Sheriff Daniel. But before this spiritual battle is over, there will be no place for them to hide from the truth. As said earlier, I hold the state of Oregon and county of Josephine responsible for the death of my wife of 49 years. You may read the article posted, Josephine County and the state of Oregon have killed my wife. It is on the internet on my webpage. I cannot forgive them. I shall not forgive them until they are held accountable for the crimes they have committed against me, my wife, and my family. For these past 9 years is only a portent of things to come, and will continue until I take my last breath. The fact is, and always has been, I have the law on my side, but they have the guns on their side. When holding your public officials can be converted into the crime of paper terrorism, lesser people than sovereigns who live in daily fear of the government don't have a snowball's chance in hell of achieving any peace and freedom in their lives. What is even more damning to their spiritual estate is their prideful attacks upon the very sovereign people who speak and live truth and show them the way to peace on earth. Gilbertson presently is in commercial dishonor after repeated commercial defaults. He has breached his oath of office. That's a no-no. That is grounds for forfeiture of his bond, his insurance coverage, and immediate removal from office, preventing him from ever holding any future public office for the rest of his life. You see, even satanic minions operate by rules of a sort. Not the same rules they hold civilians to, but rules nevertheless. Once outed in dishonor, satanic minions clean their own house, if for no other reason than to continue their necessary, positive, public image, the PR necessary for them to deceive the public, which hides hideous crimes which would only send other men to jail. This government house-cleaning is what occurred with Presiding Judge Gerald Neufeld, Judge Alan Kuhn, District Attorney Clay Johnson, and former Sheriff Dave Daniel, all of whom were forced to leave at the peak of their careers because of their dishonor in the handling of my 2 cases. Neufeld has returned to the bench when the heat died down. But the question now looms over their profitable but shadowy operation. Just how long can the cover-up, their stone wall of silence, hold up in not answering fundamental questions regarding the life and liberty of the people who employ them. Questions such as, does a fictional government have jurisdiction over any living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man or woman who does not consent to granting jurisdiction to the de facto government, and who are not members of the corporation? These fundamental questions are not questions which would be asked by the average man, for they have been conditioned into servitude through their public education. Gilbertson and his ilk have damn good reason to be scared. Their Achilles heel has been pierced with this television exposure by KTVL News 10, a station which serves southern Oregon. The lid to Pandora's box has been lifted. Who knows what follows public inquiry into the crimes of their public officials will lead to. So far, the Josephine County Courthouse politicos have been successful in controlling the news, keeping it from the ear of the public. A major scandal, which can well surpass WATERGATE, can bring this government down lawfully and without engaging in violent behavior. All that need be done is for KTVL News follow-up on what they have started. Katie, Connor, you go get them, girl.